We are excited to announce the Restaurantopia VIP Text Club. Join by texting the word podcast to 844-928-4257. You will get access to exclusive content, industry news, deals, announcements, pro tips, and more. The VIP Text Club is an exclusive community of independent restaurant owners and professionals. Join today. Message and data rates may apply. Please check our website for our terms of service and privacy policy.
Welcome back to Restaurantopia. We have another great episode for you today. For you, those of you out there listening, thank you for listening. We're grateful for that. And please, if you find anything valuable in what we're about to say, pass it along to a friend.
Yeah, 100%.
But back in the studio, Anthony Hamilton.
Hey, what's happening?
Brian Seitz.
Good morning.
And myself, Dave Ross. We're going to talk today about restaurant KPI benchmark. That means for your restaurant and what it should mean and some mentalities around that and mindsets that Anthony has experienced in his life and learned in his afterlife and ready to dump it on your brain. And hopefully,
yeah, I told you I was immortal, right? This is
exactly right. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. As long as Brian doesn't edit it out, we know why.
Yes.
Imagine a perfect world where you can build a restaurant, open the doors, and make loads of money. Unfortunately, those days are over. It takes great leadership, hard work, and long hours to operate a successful restaurant. Together, we can make it happen. This is Restaurantopia.
So let's talk first about KPIs. This isn't a term that we often use in the industry. When I switched over to distribution, I heard this term more and more and more. You know, I'd say I was familiar with it, but I didn't quite understand exactly what a KPI was. So we'll break it down for you. KPI is a key performance indicator, and they can come in any shapes and sizes. We all use them for every business, right?
Yeah.
Dave, in your management, you use them. Brian, in your management, you use them. I use them at home and at work, whatever the case may be. We all have benchmarks and goals and things. Those are all KPIs, right? So essentially, it's an indicator of measurable value that demonstrates how effectively a company is achieving its business objectives, right? So all shapes and sizes. So I want to talk about a couple of the restaurant ones and a couple of them that I think have existed for far too long, and we put way too much emphasis on them. Do you guys have any guess what that may be?
I got one.
What is it?
Food cost.
Food cost. Yes.
Food cost.
What is the standard food cost KPI?
33%.
It is every time.
Every time.
Every single time.
33.
Yeah.
Like it has, you have put zero thought into it. You just dumped out 33%, and that's what it needs to be.
The steak costs you $10, so you sell it for $30, right?
Period.
End of story.
Yeah, end of story. That's the way it is. But I'll be honest with you, that's the way it always worked.
Yeah.
And we always just accepted it. And now I look at it a lot differently, obviously. And thankfully, when I was my last couple of years in the industry, it kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. I started managing prime costs instead of food costs, and that changed my life. Because I didn't understand is 33% food cost is a great guideline, just as 33% beverage cost is. Because the traditional wine markup is 3 times 2, right? $10 for a bottle, you charge $30, so on and so forth. Why do you guys think that's flawed? Why do you think I'm so upset about this, or when I talk about this so bad?
Oh, it's so easy. It's the dynamic of labor on your prime costs. So whether it's chopped vegetables or something that's pre-made, you know, the difference between a pre-made pierogi and one that you make by hand is probably 4 times the labor. I mean, what is it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane.
You don't take percentages to the bank.
Oh,
There you go.
They don't accept them there.
There you go.
So-
They will laugh at you.
I can tell you that a 33% food cost is built in, and this is my assumption based on my experience. Once upon a time, when they were writing things on stone tablets and talking to clouds or whatever, there was someone who established 33% food cost and whatever the labor cost led you to profitability. That's where it all comes from,
That's
right?
where it all comes from.
Hey, this is a good benchmark. And you know what? It still is a decent benchmark. That's a good starting place. But if you're just doing 33% food cost blindly, I think you're missing out on so much money.
You are.
Because we always do a cost approach to costing, right? We find out how much our plates cost. Okay, we got $1 in this and then 50 cents in our vegetables, and we got $12 in our steak, so the dish has to be $40, period, right? What we fail to see is that the restaurant down the road in the same segment you are in your competition, they're charging $5 more for that steak. Because they're taking in consideration what's called market elasticity, in a term you guys are familiar with, right? So it's essentially how much you can raise your prices before it affects demand, right? How elastic are your customers? How much are they willing to spend? When we do a 33% food cost, we sell that steak you were talking about for $30. We could have been getting $40 out of it all along, and we didn't know. Yeah. So now all of a sudden we become the cheapest place to eat for a steak, which on one hand is good, you drive some traffic, but on the other hand, it's like, why am I working so hard for so little dollars?
Yeah.
So a lot of times we got to look at benchmarks, and you guys know I do this a lot with customers of Hillcrest. is look and see what the market will support first. So do your 33% markup, do the 3 times markup, and then look out and see what your competitors are charging. Your corporate competitors, your independent competitors, whatever your benchmarks are, whoever you consider your peers in the industry, see what they're charging, see what they're getting away with in your market.
Yeah.
And so use that 33% as a guideline, get to where you need to be, and then see if you can inflate, or maybe you need to deflate a little bit because that 33%. So lamb racks are a great example of that. And Dave, in your sales experience, you probably understand lamb racks are incredibly expensive. They're imported from New Zealand and Australia, and even domestic lamb is more expensive than that. A full rack is a nice portion, 12 to 14 ounces, very nice, but they're $15. Is anybody going to pay $45 or $50 for a full lamb rack?
Very struggle.
Yeah, exactly. So we were always tricky as chefs, like, oh my God, I can't do this, so I'm going to have to cut it in half, and then I'll make what's called a crepinette. It's like ground lamb, so I'll have double lamb protein, but the ground lamb's really cheap. And we got so clever about how we're going to do lamb racks, right? But what we didn't realize is, you know what? Sometimes it's okay to run a 50% food cost. So why not just charge $30 for it where you sell a ton of them? So operators have a really hard time with this. And you say 50% food cost. What do you think their reaction is?
No, I can't make money.
It's way out of
Can't
whack.
make money. It's off.
Yeah. But why do you think it's okay?
Why do you hate my restaurant?
Yeah.
Why are my prices so high?
This is something I have to talk to people a lot about, because I'm like, listen, if you have a high dollar item like lamb rack, let's say your average entree is $20, and you put a lamb rack on your special board for $30.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a nice gross profit there. We talk a $15 cost. You got a $15 gross profit. Yeah. On your cheeseburger, you got like an $8 gross profit. But the fact is, it's 33%, so it fits right in line, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I would rather have the burger at 33% than the steak or the lamb rack at 50% all day long. That's the mentality out there. But I'm telling you, you're missing the boat if you think that way, because quite honestly, you have to take prime costs in consideration. And for those of you listening, Dave, would you like to explain prime costs?
I would love to explain prime costs.
I love that you love to explain prime costs.
That would be your food, beverage, and labor all wrapped up in one divided by your sales.
Love it. Yep.
Love it.
It's a more comprehensive cost approach.
Yeah.
The reason why we choose those 3 because they're the most impactful to your bottom line, right? On a good day at a good restaurant, prime cost represents 60% of your sales. 60% of your revenue is wrapped up in those 3 categories that are completely manageable. 60% of your business completely manageable.
Wow.
Brian, can you manage your rent?
That's a great way to look at it, though, because when you
Okay.
first think that you're like 60%, you're like, man, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But manageable.
Manageable.
They're within you control.
You
Yeah,
control. And guess what? They lead directly to profitability, because those are variable expenses. You can negotiate your gas a little bit. You can negotiate your rent from time to time, but most likely you're locked into a 10-year lease, 50-year lease,
Yeah.
whatever you get.
Those are fixed. Yeah.
Fixed expenses. You can't touch them. They're not a function of sales. They're a bill. You pay them flat rate every month.
Yeah.
These, on the other hand, very easy to manipulate. We see labor costs manipulated all the time, right? You worked in restaurants for a little while with Dave, and when it got busy or it got slow, what did you do?
Well, you cut labor.
You cut labor. You send people home.
Yeah.
Just save a couple bucks here and there, right? So you're managing that. Food costs, same thing. You watch waste, you watch trim, you do all that stuff. So getting back to the prime cost notion, what people need to realize about this, and this is probably the most important part of this entire episode, at least from my standpoint, is that when you charge $30 for a lamb rack, and let's say, again, your average entrees are about $20, $18, your burgers, $12, so on and so forth, that $30 ticket, why it's okay to run 50% on that is because $30 drives your sales up, right? So if you sell a burger for $12, where's your labor at? 25%?
Maybe.
Okay, maybe. Yeah, we'll say this just for the sake of perfect world scenario. So you sell a burger, 25% labor, 33% food costs. Hey, we're well and good. But what you're missing is if you run the lamb at $30, your labor is no longer 20%, 25%. Where's your labor going now?
It's lower.
Much lower. So we'll cut it in half just to make it easy. So it's 12.5%. So I don't care that my food cost is 50%.
But explain why that is, because this is something, Anthony, you taught this to me without probably even knowing it. I never thought of it this way, looking at the higher ticket item actually driving the labor percentage down.
Well, yeah, and this is why you look at prime cost.
Right.
So
I never thought of it that way. Even though I knew all the other pieces, I never thought of it that way until you gave that to us.
Well, we talk about variable expenses. They are a percentage or a function of sales. As sales goes up, typically they travel with or go down, holding constant. So if you hold your labor force constant on a Friday night, you do 5,000 in sales, you have 40% labor. If you have that same labor force and you do 10,000 in sales, you have 20% labor, right? So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So break it down at a granular level and think about it. If you sell a burger for $12 and you're at 25%, and you sell a steak at $24, now you're at 12.5% for the same amount of labor. Yeah. So who cares?
Because you're saying the same labor goes into the burger as it goes into the.
Thank you for clarifying.
That's what hit me, and I'm like, wow, that you know what I mean?
That's exactly right. But the thing about the steak is your food cost is 50%. You're like, oh no, I can't do that. But your labor's so low, so now your prime costs come in to check and everything looks good there. But guess what? Your gross profit on that $24 steak or $30 lamb rack is exponentially more than what you're getting from the burger or the $12 entree.
Right.
So I can tell you the 33% guide is important. But listen, if you can hold your labor steady and you can find those dishes, lamb rack burger, same labor, steak burger, same labor, and get that higher price, that higher gross profit, you're twice as profitable.
Let me throw a truth bomb out here.
Oh, here we go. Watch out.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
Truth bomb. 33% is the industry average.
Yeah.
If you would like to be average, focus on 33%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to race to ordinary? Focus on it.
Well, it's a steakhouse concept. Steakhouse has been doing it for years.
Yeah.
And I talked to an operator the other day about that, and I was explaining this very concept to them so they could kind of understand, because there was a couple high-ticket items that I wanted to help them with on their menu. And
What were they?
What's that?
What the high ticket? What like?
I don't even remember.
Okay,
It was
right.
like a monster burger. I don't know.
Okay.
It's irrelevant. But the fact is, when I asked this person what they thought about it, well, steakhouses get away with it because their sides are so low cost and they charge so much. And I said, well, that's part of it. But you're not considering the labor aspect of it.
Yeah.
If you've worked in a high-end steakhouse before, the labor numbers are laughable. Because the ticket price, the check average is so high, and the labor is so minimal. Think about cooking a steak. What do you got to do? Broil it, put some sauce on it.
I mean,
Done and done. You have a person who seasons a steak, puts it in a broiler, puts it on a plate, sauces it out. So I worked in a highly successful steakhouse in the Cleveland area for a long time, and it's still there today, and they do a great job. But on a busy night, we would have 3 line cooks on the hotline, 1 on pantry, and maybe 1.5 on pantry because the dessert person would come over, right?
yeah. Wow.
But at the sister restaurant, where it was a casual fine dining with eclectic plates and composed plates, our labor was twice as much. We would have 6 line cooks, 7 line cooks to handle those plates in that kind of intensity of plating.
A lot more complexity, a lot more hands needed to.
Yeah, guess what? We were also 12% less profitable at that place.
Oh,
Right.
Shocker.
Yeah, exactly. But at the steakhouse, our food cost was a legit 47%.
Oh yeah. Much
Yeah, so on the surface, you're looking at it like, I'm running 29 over here, I'm running 45, and you're like,
Yeah. I'm going to go with the 29 all day long.
Yeah.
In error.
Right.
In error, because the dollars aren't as big, the labor's not pushed down. So again, you got to zoom out and look at prime cost. That to me, prime cost is the be all end all as far as KPIs as a management level, right? And as an owner, that's all I'm looking at. I'm not looking. If there's a problem with prime costs, then I'll dive in the food costs.
Right.
I'll dive in the beverage costs. I'll dive in the labor costs. But that's what my managers are for. That's what my frontline managers are for, to manage that on an hourly by hourly, item by item basis. Me, from an operator standpoint or an owner or a multi-unit manager, I'm zoomed out. I don't want to dive into those details because I have so many damn things to do, right? So I want my managers to manage it by hour, and then I'll look at the whole picture. So prime cost is it. If you're unfamiliar with prime cost, please call me. Please just call me right now. Brian, if you're unfamiliar, let's talk.
Call Anthony. Do you understand, folks? You can go to our website, go to Anthony's LinkedIn page, go to hillcrestfoods.com and reach him and get the answer.
Yeah, please.
He is the source, the Obi-Wan Kenobi of
stop.
restaurants.
he would love to take your call,
Yes.
Yeah,
or
it's-
email, or text,
No,
or
no.
I just want to.
carrier pigeon, or whatever.
Yeah, facts.
Message in a bottle.
He has
Wow,
facts.
you guys have beat this to death. I do drop a lot of truth bombs, but the fact is, managing prime cost changed my life a little bit because I had an entirely different perspective. So not only did it make things easier, but it also made me exponentially more profitable, as I discussed earlier. It's a huge deal. Prime costs are. Don't get fixated on that 33% cost anymore. It's not the be all end all. Great guideline. Leave it as that. Now, the prime cost, on the other hand, is kind of a be all end all because that gives you the comprehensive basket of goods that you're paying for. Again, 60% of your revenue stream, yada, yada, yada. But the reason why I wanted to bring this up is I came across a report from Baker Tilly, and they're a large accounting firm. They do about $800 million a year in revenue, so not so small, right? Not so small.
2 clients.
Yeah, two clients, right? Yes. Brian and Dave. So another company called Bloom Intelligence, they're a marketing agency. Both of these organizations are very highly respected in the industry, and both of them put out annual reports of industry averages on KPIs. And I love these reports. We'll put them in the show notes, and we'll link them there so you guys can have them. They're just a quick PDF to look at, but what they are is they're guidelines, and they're showing you what to go through. So they're saying the food costs, and I melded the 2 reports together because they're not identical. Food costs should be 29% of food sales this year. 29% is the guideline, not 33%. Pretty interesting, right?
Apparently they...
Now, is this the whole industry?
Yeah, this is everything.
Because
All
you got to
segments.
remember,
Yeah, fast casual and
well, and also you've got national chains with
Yeah.
reckless abandon moving prices up.
Yeah. So you do have to understand, listen, this information is not gospel. This is information to educate yourself and make the best decisions. You don't necessarily say, okay, 29% it is done and done, right? It's just, okay, industry
Only
average.
if you want to be average, yeah.
Race to ordinary.
I want a shirt that says that.
Oh
now.
my God, you're the
But they're saying-
the Michael Phelps of ordinary. Like just
Just swimming in the same place.
Swim through mediocrity right to ordinary.
And they break down all these costs, which is wonderful. Liquor costs 18 to 20%.
Yeah.
Bottled beer 24 to 28%. Draft beer 15 to 18%. Love it. Wine
it,
35, 45.
Love it.
Can
Yeah.
we talk about wine for a second though?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a 3-time markup up on wine. Do you guys buy wine at restaurants? You bottle a wine guy?
Yes.
Like every once in a while, yeah.
I mean,
It's not cheap.
it's not cheap, but I typically go. I go away from the name brand stuff and towards. I don't want to say value play because it's probably better quality, just less price. It doesn't have a big marketing budget. So I like when I do drink French red or an Italian red or something like that. Something DOC that has very few sulfates. What is
Yeah, sulfites.
That's just my move. But it's also because I hate paying $150 for a bottle of Prisoner when it's $50.
Yeah, it's frustrating when you know the retail price, right?
Yeah,
So the good operators a lot of times will tell their reps, "Hey, look, I don't want anything that's on the grocery store shelves if
Correct.
possible,
Yeah.
or definitely gas station, no gas station wine
No,
at your family restaurant." So you will find crossover, believe it or not.
Yeah, sure.
So different companies are selling to the same convenience stores as they're selling to the family restaurants, same brands. So you got to kind of be savvy about that because just what you're talking about was a comparison. If I know it only costs $50 and you're charging me $150, I'm crying a foul.
I want you to make money.
There's nothing wrong with buying a $25 bottle of Yellowtail at a restaurant.
Right. It comes with a headache.
free headaches all around, right? I learned this at the last restaurant I was with, and it was a really savvy move. Is we had Opus One on the wine list, and Opus One is
That's good stuff.
it is good stuff.
What were you charging us? $200 bottle of wine.
Well, we were charging about $350.
Okay.
And so we did 1.5 times markup instead of 3 times markup. Reason being is because no one's going to pay $600 for a bottle of Opus One when they know it costs $200.
Yeah.
The disparity between the retail price
yeah,
and the restaurant price is way too much to justify.
But how do you run that high of a cost on a bottle of wine?
Oh, you don't
Percentage is
say.
so high.
Yeah.
Wow, I love when you gift wrap that for me, right? So again, that mechanism is, oh my God, my wine cost is 67% or whatever of
Can't make money doing
can't
that.
make money doing that, but $350 drives my sales up really quick, which drives my hourly labor cost down real quick, and my gross profit is $150 about. You know what? I will sell that at that. Yeah, no question.
So
60% all day.
So let's do the math. How many bottles of the cheap wine do you have to sell to equal $150 of
Too
GP?
many. Ugh.
I mean, it's a lot, right?
Yeah, it is a lot.
It's a lot of covers.
It is a lot, but you're at 33%, so you're good.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
like you and the banker looking at those percentages.
Yeah, I'd like to deposit this 99%, please. Yeah. So yeah, we got to get away from that. And again, these guidelines have been in existence for a long time because they're good.
Yeah.
They're just not as important as we put emphasis on them. There's so many ways to skin this cat.
100%.
So non-alcoholic beverages, you got soft drinks 10 to 15%, coffee 12 to 20%. Remember we talked about making more money, 12% cost of goods. Not so bad last time I checked.
No, it's
not
good.
so bad. Iced tea 5 to 10%. So you better sell some iced teas. I like an iced tea program. In fact, flavored iced tea, shaken up, looking real fancy.
Yeah.
10% cost of goods is a great rule. Paper costs. I've never seen that one in the industry before. Have you guys ever seen that one broken down?
No, no. I mean, I wouldn't.
I mean, I've seen customers break it down,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
not
but-
like an
yeah.
industry average. Yeah.
Yeah. What is it?
1 to 2% of total sales. Interesting, right?
Okay.
When is this data?
What's that?
When is this data from? Like what time
2020.
frame? Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But in quick, so this is
pre-supplies?
average. In quick service, it's much higher.
Yeah.
So
okay.
models predicated for takeout, you got
Yeah.
more money in bags, and also
Well,
you
everything
have a
was
lower.
takeout in 2020.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
pizza boxes. I mean, those
Yeah,
aren't
right,
free.
yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. So there's all the paper good. Labor costs, you're looking at 28.7%. That's all in labor. Payroll costs are 25 to 35%. 28.7 is in-store labor. This is a different one that operators I teach prime costs have a difficult time understanding. When you're doing the beverage, the food, and the labor, it's all in labor. This isn't in-store labor. And what I mean by all in labor is what your payroll report says. This is after taxes and benefits and managers. So it's going to be much higher than your in-store labor.
Oh yeah. I mean, you got to look at it as a fully weighted average of what it is.
Well, listen,
pay it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
You pay it. Now, tips aren't in there, obviously.
No,
You leave those out. That's not your money. If you're handling, credit charge tips, that's pass in, pass out. That's not yours. Don't touch it. Right. So I deal with this a lot with operators, and that's the hardest part. It's like, well, we need to look at your payroll reports. We need to find out what exactly you're spending on payroll.
Right.
The hard part about this is setting the metric for your in-store labor to generate the amount on your payroll that you want. Does that make sense?
Break that down.
So let's say you run 25% labor in store. Payroll could be anywhere between 6 and 10% extra. So sometimes you got to reverse engineer that 31 to 35% labor back to the 25% goal. So what if you're my manager, Dave, and I say, I want you to run 35% payroll labor? Well, you don't have access to payroll reports, so that's an invisible target for you. So me as an operator, if you sit down with someone like myself or someone who's done this before, you sit down and you reverse engineer the number, figure out the average of what your payroll expenses are, subtract that. Now I come to you and say, Dave, if you run 25% in store with your crew, that'll render me at 35% payroll costs because I've averaged out my last year or whatever, and I understand exactly what my payroll benefit statement is. So that's how you got to do that.
Got it, yeah.
Right? So there's a little trick there, and it's not so easy, but it's the way it goes. So that all-in labor is imperative to prime costs, but industry average prime costs, 57.7%. So this is where the corporations come in. Because in our independent world, we tell them that rock stars run 60%. Who in the hell is running that low of prime costs that the industry average is 57.7?
Yeah.
Well, but I also think we succumb to the averages as well. Like we're told it's this, and then you run this and you should be good.
But you also have, and to your point earlier, you have a $3 million restaurant, and it's a lot easier to get that labor done.
For sure.
Sales hide all sins.
Everything becomes easier.
because proportionally speaking, all your variable expenses, your fixed expenses become much smaller, so it gives you a lot of wiggle room.
You got an awesome local independent that's doing 1-2, making money, kicking butt. It's probably gonna be closer to 60.
Yeah.
Most times we see it 70.
Yeah.
And then we could work with them. I mean, listen, I was no saint with this. I worked real hard to get my prime cost down. It's not easy.
It's definitely work. That's why, but you got to be looking at it. You got to be aware.
Yeah, what gets measured gets managed.
But the thing is, this work correlates to bottom line immediately, right? So this is money. Like every percentage point you shave off, this is not theoretical. This is not funny. This is money in the bank. You shave a point off, you get a point in the bank, period. A point worth of money, not just a percentage.
The dollars. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. No, it's a beautiful thing. Rent 6%. I don't think that's any surprise, right? That's industry standard for a long time. 6%. Sales per square foot. What do you guys think on this?
315.
400.
Brian's he's a little ambitious.
Wow. Okay.
They're dropping 250 to 325. You know what Pals ran?
2,500 or something.
Industry average is 250.
10 times the
Pals says, you know what, 10x.
Yeah.
But you had to go.
Can we build this restaurant any smaller?
They have no dining room.
Can we take the square feet out of that?
We put it next to a Walmart so they could use the employees could use their bathroom.
Right.
They didn't do that, by the way. But
But it's efficient.
It's
definitely efficient.
Well, and how do you utilize that space? I think about what just popped in my brain was I think it's John Taffer that does the bar rescue or used to do it. He would always talk about like how much that seat generates in revenue. You know what I mean? Like so that bar stool generates $15,000.
Right.
You know what I mean, a year.
Yeah.
So if you're talking to your employees in that regard and they understand the value of that seat, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are they overpouring? Are they giving the free drink?
Yeah.
Are they, what I mean? Like, so how are you utilizing the space?
That's true.
Because again, you have a space, but you're in control of what goes on within it.
And I've seen some people get pretty clever. Maybe you lop off half of it and turn it into a coffee shop, because there's no way you're going to, get what you need out of that space and that much real estate. And quite frankly, you just don't need it, right?
Right.
So
Or if it's big enough,
you
you put a simple wall up and you got 2 concepts in one kitchen. And,
absolutely. And it's not as expensive to do that than building from the ground up, right?
No.
So those are all great KPIs. And if there's anybody out there that really wants to dive into, especially the prime cost one, again, I'd be more than happy to help, because I think if you're not measuring prime costs, if you're not mastering prime costs, I think you're missing out. And I think most of us would probably agree with that, all the way up to our CEO. I mean, we all look at prime cost. Let's talk about some uncommon KPIs here.
Yeah, what do you got?
That I think no one's really looked at. I didn't until I saw this report. I'm like, oh my God, this report just became so valuable. First-time customer return rate. First-time customer return. And this is survey data, so you got to, there's a couple points it's going to be off. Within the first 12 months, only 28.8% of first-time guests return.
That's higher than I thought.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
And again, I don't know why I said that, but it just
felt that way. Yeah, just instinctual. So you have, what is it? 71.2% of people, your first-time guests, are walking away and never come back. What's that tell you as an operator?
Oof, we're not doing things great.
But there's technology. We talked about Open Table, right? Yeah. We talked about reservation systems. We talked about data gathering, things. There's databases in there cross-reference. You can find out a lot of times who your first-time diners are. Yeah. So what do you do?
retarget them, remarket them, reach out to them,
catch them when you're in their building.
Give them a great first experience.
Yeah. Spend time with them. Get to know them. Talk to them, right?
Yeah.
Hang out with them. Make it amazing. Build a friend, build a fan, whatever the case may be. Because I tell you, repeat business is so much easier than new business.
100%. And the first time customer, they're interviewing you.
Yeah.
You have the opportunity to wow them.
Mm-hmm. And I'm the worst type of customer, right? So I'm the customer that comes out. If you give me a bad experience, I won't complain. I'll tip really nicely. I'll give you all signs from a restaurateur that I had an amazing experience, and then I'll never come back without saying a word. Yeah. Right? And I think that's what a lot of people with a good-natured heart do.
It's not the person who leaves the scathing review that you need to worry about. It's the masses who say nothing, the silent majority who walk away and never come back to your restaurant.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. In fact, the scathing review is something I kind of welcome because it gives me an opportunity to, in some instances, it gives me an opportunity to interact with this person in front of an audience.
Yeah.
And I can just
you have an opportunity. That's the key word. You have an opportunity to fix it, to show how you fix it. Yeah.
Yeah, but if they're not there and I don't know about them, I don't have this opportunity.
That's the worst, yeah.
So let's talk about average
You are the worst diner.
Yeah, I am. I'm the worst at a lot of things. So average monthly customer repeat rate, 1.83 visits per month. That was actually higher than I thought because I look at things through a lens of my own life. My wife and I don't go out nearly enough. It's something I'm working on rectifying because we need more date nights. But 1.83 visits per month. How do you increase that?
That's pretty good. So you're going there almost twice.
Almost twice a month. Yeah.
I'd say that's higher than I expected.
Me too. It shows a lot about loyalty at restaurants.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Yeah.
Everybody loves to be loyal. I talked to a fellow the other day. He goes to a corporate steakhouse every Sunday. Every Sunday, him and his wife pack up and they go to the same corporate steakhouse, sit at the same bar. In fact, how I met him was through a bartender I know at a corporate steakhouse they used to go to every Sunday. Then they switched over to another one. But they went to the old one for 10 years. Every Sunday they went to the same one.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the value of that customer?
Yeah.
Listen, it goes back to human habits again.
Yeah.
Like I have the same thing. Like we do carry out on Friday nights typically. And I would tell you 9 out of 10 times it's the same place.
Yeah, we do the same thing, and typically, like a Tuesday or Wednesday, we love a Latin's eatery here in Cleveland, Ohio, and that's what we get. It's on our rotation, and it's
in ours too.
So that would definitely be 2 to 3 times a month.
Yeah, right,
easily.
Customer attrition rate. How many customers you lose? 11.4% on I think it's a month. 11.4%. So as customers are falling off, you're attracting new customers.
Yeah.
So customers are leaving you and never come back is what this comes down to. So what's that tell you about the effectiveness of your table touches, effectiveness of the time spent, effectiveness of the deals, the LTOs, all the things you're doing to make the customer feel amazing? These 3 data points to me represent low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
I look at this as an operator and say, oh my God, this is staggering. If these numbers are even remotely close to what reality is, I have such an amazing opportunity to go out there, spend time with my guests, and raise my top line.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're tracking it, it's a self-selecting group of operators who means, okay, now this is interesting to me. To your Peter Drucker quote, now you're managing it. Now you're looking at it. Now you care about it, and you can improve.
Yeah.
Like, how do you know how to get better unless you're tracking this stuff?
No, I'm telling you, like I don't think I'm not aware of an operator that looks at any of those 3 metrics. So the fact that that you would even start looking at that stuff, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, that's how you want to not be ordinary. You want to not be average. You want everyone in the community to look up to you as an excellent operator. Start tracking those things, and you're going to crush the competition.
No question.
So we talk about PALs a lot, right?
Yeah.
And we understand what PALs is and all that stuff. Dave, do you remember what their return rate was?
I don't.
Off the cuff, it was like 98% of their customers return.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
that are repeat customers.
Yeah,
They're-
yeah.
right. Yeah,
98%.
it was high. Yeah.
But they do the right things, step by step by step.
You don't have to buy a lot of billboards if that's your customer return rate.
And this is what I'm trying to say. Listen, like we spend so much time marketing to the external world, but we spend so little time marketing to people that are in my restaurants. What we give them is a half-assed approach. Hey, folks, how's it taste tonight? All right, great. Thumbs up. Your mouth's full. I'm sorry for interrupting. I'll move on to the next table. I'm checking my requisite box because I'm a dining room manager, and that's what I have to do.
Yeah.
How many times is your manager really engaging? Like if you see, and some do this very well, if you see a customer drinking, a certain type of wine, right? Like Brian's drinking his Yellowtail Chardonnay, and you have maybe a Duckhorn Chardonnay that's queued up on the glass. Why not go over to Brian and be like, hey, Mr. Seitz, how you doing? I know your name because I looked in Open Table because I'm tracking your data like a good operator should.
Yeah.
I got this amazing Chardonnay. It's about in the same price bracket. You can get it by the glass. You don't have to invest in a whole bottle. But why don't you have a taste of this? Mm-hmm. And then me and Brian share some wine. We smell it. We taste it together. Guess what? You feel like a stud, right?
No, it's that interaction. It's that touch point.
Yeah.
But also, I'm going to take it one step further. So I love how you identified what I was drinking, made the connection with me. But also, what are the silent cues? Is the halibut half eaten?
You only ate 1 foot of the 2 foot halibut?
Yes. Only a foot.
But we bought 3 feet tonight, chef. We got to get rid of these.
we gotta move these feet of product.
That was so cute.
I love you guys. So are you looking at that? Are you looking at the people's faces? Are they having a good time? A lot of people will say nothing. Anthony's the perfect example. They'll say nothing. It's your job to peel back that onion without being intrusive by picking up on the nonverbal cues.
Absolutely. And if your manager's working too much and they don't have good balance of life and you don't have a great staff under them, guess what? They're spinning wheels. They're tired. They're burnt out. Are they noticing those cues? Are they making that extra effort?
Do they care?
Exactly.
Yeah. How much love can your manager have for your operation if you made him work 70 hours?
Mm-hmm. No doubt. And then in turn, love for your customers.
Yep.
And if we learned anything from Anna last episode, it's how do you be so hospitable at your age?
She was so awesome.
And she dropped one of the most profound nuggets. She said, you just got to love them.
Yeah, you got to love
them. That's
them.
the secret. Just love them.
Yeah. It goes to caring about people and having that humanity, which is the basis of hospitality. Anthony, these are great. I really encourage everyone to visit Restaurantopia. Check out these show notes because this is some strong stuff.
Yeah, and that's actually a great point to finish, Brian. I think you did a tremendous job there of timing it up because the moral of the story is guidelines are just that. They're guidelines. Use them, but don't rely on them 100%. And attracting new customers is awesome, but repeat customers is where the money is best spent. So I would implore you to spend more time and effort recruiting and marketing the people already under your roof, already in your database to get them to come back more because they're already fans have been there, right? And if they're not, convert them. It's easier, it's cheaper, and they already know your address.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Anthony.
No problem, man. My pleasure. Yeah.
This is a high quality pod. Thank you, everybody.
Take care. Adios.
Thank you for listening to Restaurantopia. The gratitude that we have for each and every one of you spending your precious time to listen to this podcast is immeasurable. Please make sure to tell a friend about this podcast. And also, if you have any feedback for us, visit us on restaurantopia.com and drop us a line. You can also subscribe on your favorite place to listen to podcasts. Thank you and have a great day.
We also want to thank our sponsor, Hillcrest Food Service. If you are a local independent restaurant and are looking for a distributor who has chef and operational consulting, provides marketing support, does menu reviews, and most importantly, wants you to be successful, reach out to Hillcrest Food Service at hillcrestfoods.com. We are excited to announce the Restaurantopia VIP Text Club. Join by texting the word podcast to 844-928-4257. You will get access to exclusive content, industry news, deals, announcements, pro tips, and more. The VIP Text Club is an exclusive community of independent restaurant owners and professionals. Join today. Message and data rates may apply. Please check our website for our terms of service and privacy policy.